Hi guys, I'm Anita and I'm back with another video. Today I want to share with you my April wrap up. From April I've decided to start reviewing my books twice a month. So once by the middle of the month and once by the end of the month. However, I am including statistics and also mentioning all of the books that I've already read in this book, in this video as well. So you know my ratings, but if you want more in-depth thoughts about those books, then you should go and check out the mid-month wrap-up. But before I get into my books that I read for the month, let's talk about some statistics. So in April I ended up reading a total of 13 books, and it equaled to 4,498 pages with an average of 180 pages per day. In terms of my genres, I read 4 books that were fantasies. I read 1 contemporary, 3 were sci-fi, 1 was a mystery, there were 3 urban fantasies, and there was 1 horror book. In terms of age group, was a strange month for me because I ended up reading both 6 adult books but also 6 YA, and then I read 1 middle grade. The longest book I read in April was Stormglass by Maria V. Snyder. This was 504 pages. And the shortest book that I read in April was Lysets Hjerte by Kenneth Andersen. This one is 122 pages long. And Lysets Hjerte means the heart's light? No, or something like that. Light of the heart. I don't know how to translate it. So in terms of my ratings, I end up giving out one 2.5 star, 1 3 star, 2 3.5 stars, 3 4 stars, 1 4.5 stars, and 5 stars. So it was definitely a really successful month. After last month I felt very like everything I picked up was bad, but I really changed things this month, so I'm really happy about that. But yeah, let's go over the books. I've decided to try and talk about the books in rating order, so from lowest rated to highest rated, and see how that goes. The lowest rated book that I read this month was The Space Between Worlds by Micaiah Johnson. This I already made a review of in my mid-month wrap-up, so I'll leave a link to that up here so you can go and check it out if you want to. But I ended up giving this book 2.5 stars. Going into my 3 stars, the first one I read from that with that rating was Stormglass by Maria V. Snyder. This is the first book in a trilogy called The Glass Trilogy, and The Glass Trilogy is a spin-off series that follows after the events of the Poison Study trilogy. I loved the Poison Study series a lot. I think all of the books were really amazing. Especially the first one, but all of them were great. And I had really high hopes for this one. We meet Opal, who is a glass magician. She's able to use magic to create these amazing orbs, and she is able to do different things in order to wield her magical powers, but she's also one of the best glass makers in this realm. And she's asked to help out with the Storm Dancer clan. The Storm Dancers are using glass orbs to help when there are storms, to make sure that they don't become too rough and they don't come too close to the coast. They live by the coast, and so, but what happens is that something has gone wrong with the mixture that they use to make these glass orbs, so the glass orbs are breaking, and so Opal is there in order to figure out what happened. And so this also sort of spins this into motion. My main critique about this book, that means I didn't give it a super high rating, like it's a middle of the road book for me. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like the best thing ever. But that is that Opal, who is our main character, seemed to be lacking a little bit. I really enjoyed Yelena from the first trilogy, and all of the characters in that were amazing. And every character that was introduced in this one were kind of boring, the new characters, especially Opal. But anytime there is a character showing up from one of the other trilogy, I was really excited because they were just as fun as ever and just as great characters as ever. and they really gave something to the plot. So I don't know what happened with this, and I really hope that they will develop nicely in the coming books. So that's why I end up giving this a 3 out of 5 stars instead of anything higher. But I'm definitely interested in reading on, because it did leave off in a way that I wanted to read the next ones and also own both of the next books in the series. The next one I read was Murder in the Bowery by Victoria Thompson. This is, I think, the 19th book in the Gaslight Mystery series. This is a book series that I've really been enjoying. We follow a police detective, Frank Malloy, and a widowed midwife, Sarah Brand, who sort of ends up solving mysteries together. And usually I really love these books, and this time I still enjoyed it, but there are some things that lack, both in terms of the mystery element but also in terms of the character development or the other thing that happened, because usually there's a good mix and a good balance of both. There's a lot of things going on with the characters and a lot of things going on in the mystery, but this time I felt like the mystery I'd already read before in this series. But at the same time there wasn't a lot going on with the characters either, so that sort of removed some of the usual enjoyment, and that's why I ended up giving this book 3.5 stars. Next one that got a 3.5 stars for me was So Done by Paula Chase. This is a contemporary middle grade. I think I put it down as young adult, but it's actually middle grade. I don't know what I was thinking about. But it is middle grade, and it is a contemporary. It follows these two girls who has, after spending this summer, been on a summer vacation, coming back, and they used to be really good friends, and then something has pulled them apart a little bit over the summertime. Something has changed in their friendship, and our main character doesn't really know what, and sort of that is the struggle of this book. And while I did really enjoy the talk about the friendship elements and the difficulties that she experienced, there's just something about it that didn't completely pull me into the story, and I can't really put my finger on what it was. I loved the narration of the audio because it was narrated by Barney Turpin, and that was actually my main reason for picking this book up. I was just in a mood to listen to some of hers. So yeah, I ended up giving it 3.5 stars because there is something lacking, but the overall message of the book was really amazing, and I think this will be enjoyable for so many who enjoys middle grade and contemporary fiction. And now we're getting into my 4-star books. The first one of those is Ice Planet Barbarians by Ruby Dixon. I already talked about this in my mid-month wrap-up. This was definitely a surprise and 4 stars, as I said. I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought, but definitely check out my mid-month wrap-up, you know, for more further in-depth thoughts about it, because yeah. Another 4 stars was A Complicated Love Story Set in Space by Sean David Hutchinson. This was another surprise for me because I've never read anything by Sean David Hutchinson before, and I've mostly read it. I was interested in him because a lot of people have been praising him, but I didn't know if I was actually going to be enjoying it. And I saw people who read this who said that this wasn't the best thing that he wrote, so I definitely ended up enjoying it, and I have more thoughts about it in my mid-month wrap-up, so check it out if you're interested. The last 4-star read for me over the month was A Signal to Noise by Sylvia Moreno Garzia. This is a standalone urban fantasy set in Mexico. It follows a sort of split timeline, so we have these 3 characters, these three friends. Our main character is called Merch. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's a short term from Mercedes, but she doesn't like to be called that. And there was Sebastian. Oh, what was her? Nicole or Nadine. They were 3 friends in. I don't think they were in high school yet, and then so that is a timeline we follow, like in the middle 86, I would say, in Mexico City. And then we have a timeline set in 2009 in Mexico City, and something happened in their friendship relationships that put a strain between these 3 characters, and we're sort of figuring out a little bit ahead why there's this tension and what led up to this, them leaving their separate ways and not talking to each other for years and years and years. And then it also blends in magic. They use a sort of magical way spells in with music being part of the magical element, and it was really, really interesting. So overall, I really, really enjoyed this. I don't know how to talk more about it. I enjoyed the sort of talks about these different relationships and trying to figure out what went on. I really enjoyed Sylvia Moreno Garzia's writing. I have talked about that a few times before on my channel, but she has a writing style that I really enjoy. And this is one of her earlier novels. I don't remember when it's from, but already then I really enjoyed it. The only thing that I could put my finger on that wasn't my favorite thing is that Merce, our main characters, wasn't my favorite character. And it's not that I don't mind when people are a little bit unlikable, but there was just something about the way that she acted that didn't really work for me, and that is my main reason for not giving it a higher rating, but still a 4 stars. It's really pretty amazing, so I definitely recommend it. And it's a pretty short read as well, and often on sale on Amazon Kindle. So if you find it for a good deal, then maybe you should check it out. Now we're getting into my 4.5 star reads for the month, and that was The Dark Days Pact by Allison Goodman. This is the second book in the Lady Helen series, and the Lady Helen series follows Lady Helen, who it's in Victorian, no, I think Edwardian time. It's from 1812. I'm not really good at that timeline thing, but it's set in 1812, and in the first book we are sort of introduced to this Dark Days Club. The Dark Days Club is a secret group that protects humans from deceivers. They are reclaimers, which means that they can fight these deceivers, and deceivers sort of sucks out souls or essence of life from humans, and so they use special techniques in order to pull that out. And then there are, I forgot what they're called right now, but they have like an assistant type of person to help them with their magic, who's also part of this club. And in the first book, Lady Helen is introduced to this club, and in this one she's sort of taking an oath to become part of the Dark Days Club, and with everything that entails. There's a bit of a power struggle in the group because she's the first ever reclaimer that is a female reclaimer. There are females part of the Dark Days Club, but they have different other positions in the club. So she definitely has some issues, and so have to sort of fight some things in order for her to be accepted and be viewed as an equal, and that was an interesting aspect of this. But I also just really enjoyed the relationship she had with Lord Alston and Mr. Hammond, and also Daisy and Dahlia. Those character relationship was so amazing, and that's why I end up giving it a 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed this. Like, they're not super fast paced, they're just really good books, and it just makes me want to keep on reading, and I really, really enjoyed my time with this, and I definitely highly recommend this series if you're interested. Now we're getting into my 5-star reads of the month, the first one being Going Postal by Pratchett. This is the first book I finished this month, and it was a good start to my reading for the month. I definitely love this. 5 stars. I love Pratchett a lot. I talked a little bit more in depth about this in my mid-month wrap-up, so go and see this for my thoughts. I also did a reread of The Last Sacrifice by Rachel Mead. I just kept my original rating for this. I definitely enjoyed my time rereading this series overall, and recommend rereading your favorites. It's a lot of fun, and it was a good thing to do when I just moved and I was a little bit struggled a little bit with actually picking up books because I have so many things in my head. This one worked out perfectly for that part, and yeah, it was enjoyable. I'll talk more about it in my mid-month wrap-up if you want to know my thoughts about the actual book. Another 5-star was another Pratchett, and that was a Thud by Pratchett. So it's nice, always nice to have 2 Pratchett books in a month, and it's even more amazing when they're both 5 stars. I can't really say which one is best. I think I preferred this one a little bit to Going Postal, if I'm honest. This one was really amazing. It follows the City Watch in Ankh-Morpork, and in this one Sam has to solve a murder of the dwarf king who has recently been killed, and it happened on this anniversary of this big battle between the trolls and the dwarves. And in this one, there's definitely a lot of questions about Sam and his judgment towards everything, and that was a really interesting element. And Sam was also a father figure in this one, and it was really nice to see him like that. Like, it gave it a cute element. I really enjoy all of the other characters as well, but yeah, overall I just love this one, and it had me laughing out loud a couple of times. So I really enjoyed it, and one of the things that I really enjoy about these later books is how much deeper they go in terms of tone and plot. They still have the humorous tone, but they're not those satirical books that they were in the beginning of the series, and I really enjoy that. So highly recommend this book. And I don't think this is the best entry point. You can start with it, but I think it would be better to read some of the earlier novels in the series in order to understand Vimes and everything that he's been going through. Another 5-star read for me was Lysets Hjerte by Kenneth Andersen. This is a Danish book. It's sort of fantasy, but mostly horror. I put it in the horror category because it's quite gruesome. It follows this boy who is going with his mother to this old house after his parent has been divorced. It's in a bit of a mood. In no time he notices that there's something off with this house, and he is sort of told that he can explore any of the rooms in the house, except there's one room on the 3rd floor that he's not allowed to enter. But obviously the curiosity got the best of him, and he ends up going into this room, finding a door like in Narnia, and goes into a world like Narnia, except he has to complete like this quest. He has to go find this thing called Lysets Hjerte. It's a sort of star, I think, a stone. But what is the difference between Narnia and this is that he dies multiple times over the book, and just have to and goes back to the house and has to start over, and every time he dies it's a little bit more gruesome. Some of them are definitely horrible to read about, and that definitely gave it a horrific element to it, and but I overall really enjoyed it. There was a lot of interesting messages, and I really enjoyed how he sort of weaved the plot together, and how he sort of added a little Easter eggs in here for other books of his. That was really fun to read. When I discovered those, I was really like, I noticed it a couple of times, so that was a lot of fun. I don't know if it's going to be translated, because I have a feeling it might, because Tempus Fugit, which is one of the references in this one, is definitely, I saw something about him being in the process of translating that, so maybe there's a hope that this one will be translated as well. And the last and final book that I read in April was Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston, and this is a middle grade book. It sort of follows this girl called Amari, who is being expelled from her school after having been bullied by this awful person, and she is just really sad because her brother disappeared a year ago. And what triggered her was the fact that someone told her that her brother was dead, and she really didn't believe that, so she got really angry that she could say such a thing, and it ended up with her being expelled. But then she finds herself becoming part of this secret camp kind of thing, where she learns about enhanced powers. Like all of these people who goes to this camp has interesting abilities. Some have technology abilities. Like there's a lot of things going on, and then she has to go through these different trials in order to become accepted in this world. And there's a lot of this that actually reminds me of the Nevermore series. I think if you enjoy the Nevermore series, you should definitely check this one out. I loved my time reading this. It had some similar vibes to the Nevermore books, and I definitely recommend it to those who have read and enjoyed that. It's definitely its own thing. It's not that it's the same, it just has some vibes that don't know exactly where I was, but I was about to finish with my review of the last book. But Amari and the Night Brothers was excellent. I loved every minute of it, and it was such a fun book, and I can't wait to read on in this series. And Amari was amazing, and the friendship she got was so great, and the mystery elements to it was so amazing. All the magical elements and all of the stuff, it was just super good, and I really enjoyed it, and I highly recommend it, as I said, to people who have been reading the Nevermore books. So yeah, this was all of the books that I read in April. Let me know in the comments down below what you read in April. What was your favorite book? Have you read in the books that I've been talking about today? And if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video very, very soon. Goodbye.